I got a really good overview of so many different aspects of interior design, not just residential, not just focused on kitchen and bath, not just the technology, but also commercial and also hand rendering and things that I not didn't even imagine that I would be studying. And these are all things, even though I may not have gone into as much depth as I will eventually, just starting out, I now have a feel for those things. I know what's out there, and I know I can pick to go deeper into some of those areas.
Time at Heritage was very transformative because I came here as very passionate for design, but I left it with a very structured foundation, and it's also like also give us an idea how to run your own business, which is I think it's really great. And I agree to what you said because like when I got here I thought at first like I was like ready to launch my own business, but actually no, because I don't know what is AutoCAD, I don't know what's SketchUp. So like heritage really give us that foundation that's still a backbone of my business today.
I was amazed at how supportive everyone was here, and I would say in the design community in Seattle as a whole, there's been way more supportiveness than I expected. But especially in the school, I was pretty nervous changing careers. Had never really had a creative career before and wasn't sure I could do it. And the encouragement of the teachers and my fellow students to apply the things that I had learned from my previous careers. I had what skills was I bringing that really could translate into design, working with clients, those sorts of things. They really helped to bring that out for me. And so that was in the creative class, but also like in the business and entrepreneurship class. Um, that was really useful in helping me feel how I could develop my elevator pitch and how I could market myself and really sell myself to my clients as someone that they could trust because I have this business experience or this project management experience. I know what it means to listen to people, to bring teams together. I feel like those sorts of things were really supported at Heritage, in addition to adding in all these new skills. And then the network is just ginormous. Um, the field trips that we talked about, but bringing in speakers and just encouraging us to go out into the community and talk to people and be more comfortable with the people who are going to be our peers when we're done with this program is amazing for me.
The thing I agree. Like, when I came here, I really don't know how to sketch. I really don't know how
Mm-hmm.
to do rendering, and it's just I think it's one of the big important tool when it comes to design because most clients are visual, so they have to see that. So heritage really help us to learn all those and be more prepared. And I think one of the projects that I will never forget is the kitchen design that I did here. So normally we have to ask a real floor plan or friends out there. So I did one of my relatives, and I did a dining area for their space. And actually now I'm working for their house, the
Oh,
full
that's great.
house.
Yay.
So I'm doing their full house, which I'm really excited because they were so impressed
Uh-huh.
with what I showed them before with one of my project here. So now I'm in a process of like I think I just need 2 days for the final presentation.
Wow.
Yes, contract is signed. So
Hooray.
yeah, I think that's one of my project that like because I'm very details with everything because I think details are goes beyond decor because I want a space that you feels that feels and function and also inspired, and I think they saw that on my last project here at Heritage, and they're like, hey, I really want you to do our house and just our dining room to a full house.
That's
So
great.
yeah, thank you. I get some of the rendering I can share to you.
Oh, for sure.
I think it's balancing the budget and creativity. I because like can just be so creative, but when in real life there's budget, there's timeline. So I think those are two things that I should have known before, but and heritage helped us a lot how to overcome them, how to resolve those type of problem, and it's great that we do have every like project here at school, which is actually like same as in real life. So I think that's the thing. If you want to do it now, because like I do have the same question with that because I was born and raised in the Philippines, and one of the things that scares me when I move, when like I'm trying to get into the school, is like, what about the language barrier? You know, but actually, you won't feel that. You won't feel that. It's not how perfect your grammar is. It's how your creativity is, you know, like, and they will guide you. They will guide you with everything. I do really remember my first time I ever present. I was so nervous, and it's just like, you know, they will heritage will shape you to be more professional and polished. And at the end of the semester, I always get this comment from my, you know, instructor that you're very professional, you're neat, and you are so 100% in there. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. It's a matter of like your creativity. And if you really want to do it now because, you know, we have time, I guess. But yeah, do it now. Well, I mean, it's hard. Like when it's come to family, this is like not really my parents want me to do because they want me to be a doctor. But I mean, through the time, because they saw me how I'm very creative and this is really what I really want to do to my life, to my career. Then they were like, okay, we'll support you. So I think I inspired, I don't know, maybe myself, like my dream. And, you know, like in our culture in the Philippines, we really have to, it's part of our culture to travel and work abroad, leave everybody behind. And sometimes it's hard actually because you have to leave your family there. You have to live your lifestyle, your life, your friends, because you have to, you know, do something for yourself. And suddenly, like our economy is not that great to be there. And creative in the Philippines is kind of hard too.
Just realizing that I can do these things for myself and I can create my own future. It wasn't written for me at my portfolio presentation. And they were the panelists for our presentations. And afterwards, we chatted and they were hiring. And I went to work for an architecture firm. And so that it was like a direct link, I would say.
I reach out to them, and they're also Filipino, which I'm from the Philippines.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, the budget was so tight, but at the same time, you know, I meet their expectation, and they were so happy.
Um, yes and no. They made me feel confident because of how they talked about the presentation that I did. They really liked the style, and that each of my projects was very focused on what the requirements were for that project or the style for that project. I would say probably my biggest insecurity was technological because they used Revit, and I had taken the Revit class, but still, it's a fast class, and then having to apply that into the real world of um, what is an architect really building with Revit and what really needs to happen. And if I accidentally move a wall, what's going to happen to that staircase in real life? Those sorts of things took a little bit of getting used to. But I would say after a few weeks, really, I started to feel really good about what I was doing for them. I felt like I had gotten enough background in Revit and the other classes here that I knew where to look when I needed to get more information, and I could really build on the skills that I already had. Been working on residential, primarily remodels of various sizes. So in some cases, just a bedroom. I worked with someone who has ADHD, and getting to learn about that and what his requirements were to make his bedroom more comfortable was really eye-opening for me. It was actually in a lot of ways the opposite of what I would have expected. So I appreciated having to do the research and him educating me. Um, so some small, and then also some larger ones as well, to a whole house remodel and an addition. But we've got 4 projects in construction right now that I'm very excited about.
I think like design is as much of the people who will live in there. And I think as what I mentioned earlier, like biggest challenge is like incorporating creativity with budget because those are always the two things. Like you have a lot of creativity in your mind, but if the budget don't meet it, then it's kind of harder. But I think you can get out of it by doing a lot of like resourcing. You put more time on resourcing, and then you can actually like see the creativity in every pieces that you will put in someone's home.
One is billable hours, because when I'm a student doing a project, I can spend as much time as I want until the thing is due. But when I'm, working in real life, I have to think about, is the client really going to want to pay for me to look for like an hour's more worth of light fixtures to find the perfect one? Or at this phase in the project, are we okay to just spend a limited amount of time? Availability is definitely an issue because our clients work full-time jobs, they have families, they have things going on. They may not be as available to go to a showroom in the middle of the week when the showrooms are open as we are. So working around their schedules and their availability to answer questions or make decisions. And then I would say the internet. We all use the internet to look for things, but when a client finds something on the internet that doesn't really exist, or maybe they find, for example, a $50 faucet, and I'm not confident in the quality of that faucet, I'm having to do a lot of education and a lot of redirecting folks to things that I know that I can stand behind.
It's like like how could I, what could I help to change these people, like the way they live, because it's like sometimes it's just like a belonging, a sense of belonging, but it's not just that. Like there's so many things that can happen when you live into a nice, organized place. It doesn't have to be luxurious, but it helps in many ways. Mostly working on and focus on residential right now because I think it's really nice to focus on residential for now because you can every time I finish a project I can see how really it changes to the people who lives in there, like their life, even their lifestyle changes. Like one of my clients, like he just used to wear jeans every time, and then the next morning he was like wearing slacks. So I mean, I think it's nice, and you can be more creative when it comes to residential project because the difference between residential and commercial, when it comes to commercial, there's so many restriction, and there's some, for example, this light picture is so beautiful but it's not you listed, so you cannot use that in commercial. But when it comes to residential, it's more fun because there's so many available things there, but for sure also in commercial. But I think it's more personal because that's what I do with project. Every project for me is deeply personal.
Every time I go for a walk, go shopping, go to my kids' sporting events, get stuck in traffic, like everything is has a new design opportunity for me. I'm looking at how colors go together. What shapes am I responding to? What are people wearing? I feel like I'm looking at things in a whole new way and always thinking about how can I incorporate that into a design? What does it mean to that person? What does it mean in this environment? Why was this selected? And I bringing that in and thinking about the context of design.
I mean, I do follow a lot of renowned interior designers, social media, but actually, what really do inspire me is the client
Mm-hmm.
because I focus on what their needs, what they want, because they are the one who's gonna live in there, and then based on what I've seen online, then I apply it and connect it to their vision because I cannot just create a design that it won't feel perfect for them. I cannot just say that, hey, this is a Cali wrestler design, so I'm putting it at home. But it's like it's not them. So I think what's inspired me is like, after getting to know your client, building their profiling, and then that's what's inspired me. Like, yeah, my client is.
Try everything and push yourself. If you think about your own aesthetic, but then try something else as well. But we were talking earlier about the field trips. Take advantage of those, ask lots of questions, go back to those showrooms and ask follow-up questions, um, and think about there are so many different things that you can do in design, right? You can be an independent designer, you can work in a showroom, you can get into furniture design. There's so many different things to do. Be open to all of those, explore as many of those, and when an opportunity presents itself, give it a shot.
Yeah, my advice is like stay curious, trust and embrace the process, and it's gonna be worth it. And if you want to do it now because it will. You'll see how it will benefits you because it's not just by helping clients. It's also helps you because you're not just an interior designer. It's also who you are and that is your dream. Stay with your network because it will help you a lot when you're like ready to be there.
And it's hard to know what's going to happen with the economy. So something will happen with the economy that will impact it. But I think probably the biggest thing is going to be AI. Everybody's talking about AI, and it's been advancing so quickly already. I think there are going to be a lot more folks who think that they can do interior design on their own because they can tell ChatGPT they want a pretty room. And I think they're still going to need designers to make that a reality, to find the real products, to come up with the real measurements that fit in their room, and to figure out if a wall can really be moved. Um, but I see that as a big challenge for us to work with, to figure out how to incorporate that into our work, but then also to make sure that the public understands and our clients understand what's really realistic.
But at the same time, you can still see when a real human design your space because an AI can do so much and a person can make it more personalized without having like a robot space.
Yeah.
Because I think robot is great, but at the same time, human brain works naturally.
Be prepared to be realistic about what your skill set is, and if there's something that you hate doing, it's okay to delegate that. If you hate bookkeeping, it's okay to hire a bookkeeper and focus on the pretty parts if you're able to do that.
Be transparent with your client, especially with the budget. Because like if your client is expecting this design and their budget is here, you have to be transparent with them that I don't think it's achievable with the budget that you mentioned, which is sometimes it's hard for a designer to say because they need a project. But sometimes if you just think about because you need a project, you're gonna fail at the end because you give them a very high expectation because you needed a project. I think what you should prioritize is you need to help them, not you need the job. I mean, yeah, job is important, but at the same time, if we tell to our client, give them an expectation, and we just try to hide the budget portion because we need the job, and I think it's gonna be a fail.
Yeah, because in the end, you have to feel good about what you delivered,
Yeah,
and they need to be happy with what you
and it's
delivered.
like Is it worth it?
Yeah. I'm really proud of myself for changing gears, really. Um, I worked in IT for a really long time. I worked for other people. I had never started my own business, and just realizing that I'm capable of doing those things. I can start my own business. I can figure out my own bookkeeping. I can do my own marketing. So far, all those sorts of things. I can start doing my own social media. Just it's I've grown so much in my self.
Inspired me the most is because let me give a little bit of background. Like I'm very passionate with design. I started with my young age, and I always like to make things pretty. But through the years, and I always like to see the uniformity of spaces, and I think like even I do have like a 10 years of working experience in corporate roles. I decided to pursue it because I think design is my true calling.
Sure. I would say most directly would be a big remodel that we did on our house. We did an exterior remodel and an interior remodel. We worked with an architect, an interior designer, and a general contractor. I worked really closely with them, and like really started to fall in love with that. And I had been looking for something else to do. Now that I'm here, I look back and I think it was always kind of there, because I remember how specific I was about the curtains, the tall curtains I needed in my bedroom when I was 8 years old. And I knew, like, I went to graduate school and I was supposed to be writing a paper, but I was shopping for cabinet hardware in the middle of the night. Or just when I would have a stressful day, like at my office job, I'd like to come to the design center or go to a tile store and just wander around, and that was relaxing to me. So I don't know why it took me so long to figure it out. But yeah, eventually I just like knew, and
I
it
think
felt
it
like
does helps a lot, like because it's build connection and network, and like as soon as I graduated and launched my own business, I don't feel like I where am I going? Where am I gonna get this? And I think that's one of the great things that Heritage does to every student because they give us the network right there. So when you're like ready to be out there, you don't have to be like, where am I gonna get the chairs? So I think that's one of the best things that the Thursday visit really helps a lot.
I agree. They were fantastic. I'm a pretty shy person, and having the field trips take us into those showrooms where I might have felt intimidated to go was super helpful. Just getting to know the staff, getting to feel more comfortable asking questions, asking for advice, knowing those are resources that you can lean on when you have a real life project was really, really, really helpful. And the variety of the field trips was great too, not just within the design center, but around the city. It was so helpful.
And it's fun.
Yes, that's right.